Absolutely. It looks like it automatically started here. What's up, James? It looks like we automatically started here. But yeah, I mean, anything that I like, sweatpants, stuff like that, I'll wear those for years. I like investing in quality stuff. So welcome, guys. We'll go ahead and get started here since we're in the top of the hour. We have some 80/20 Academy members on here, Shay and James. We are live with Michael Stansbury, who I'm going to call Stans, his nickname throughout the interview. I'm sure I'm a big nickname guy. Nice, endearing way to relate to people, connect with people. So he is out of Memphis, Tennessee, and would love to hear what you have going on now, man, real estate business wise, and maybe talk a little bit about Memphis, a little introduction on yourself.
Sure. Yeah, Mike Stansbury, been with started Memfixerupper, I think probably almost 6 years ago with a 50-50 partner, Jameson Hendricks. We were both in the same market, became friends. When we worked out at a CrossFit gym together, realized we did the same thing. And then we did a couple deals together, before we started Memfixerupper, because we both did really, we both did the same things, but we both did different things well in the business. He was very good. This is when we were doing a lot of fix and flips at the time. And he did really well at the fix and flip part. I did really well at the marketing part, or was doing well at the time. And so we kind of joined forces, and it's been really just fantastic ever since. He's a great partner. But I was in real estate beforehand as a realtor. And I've been a realtor since year 2001. So almost 21 years. So, and then always wanted to be a real estate investor, and took the plunge to do it full time back in 2012, 13. So I was a realtor and a real estate investor at the same time. Didn't get much into wholesaling until 2016, 17. Really, for some reason, because again, I didn't know what I didn't know. I just, for the longest time, just thought this is the only way you make money is fix and flipping. And then I wholesaled a couple deals, but didn't, almost by accident. And then started strategically wholesaling most of our deals back in 2017, 2018. So I would say that right now, currently, the income that we produce is probably 70% from wholesaling and 30% from fix and flips. And do have a rental portfolio, and that provides income as well. But that's mainly it. Simple, easy, executable.
Very cool. Love it. I would love to hear a little bit of your opinion. We were talking before we went live here about Bitcoin and the US dollar and stuff like that, but would love to hear kind of your opinion on kind of real estate investing right now, like a macro viewpoint on it nationally and then locally there in the Memphis market.
Well, nationally, you look at some of the big cities. Some of the big cities in different states are, contracting. Or, again, I would say that my local market is indicative of some of the houses, some of the areas that just have a lot of influx of people moving in. Tennessee is one of those states that doesn't have income tax. Florida doesn't have income tax, and they're just seeing the numbers as far as the amount of money that houses are going for exponentially larger than they were 2 or 3 years ago. We're talking 15, 20%. That's happening in Nashville and Memphis. And I've talked to a lot of folks in Florida, and they're just seeing a lot of folks that are moving from New York or the coast down to that market. And it's the craziest. This is probably the craziest as far as I've seen price points that I've ever seen. And we're definitely seeing our wholesale assignment fees and our fix and flip profits more than they ever have been. And I think that's indicative of the question you asked first is about Bitcoin. I think that's all talked about, that's all relegated to the inflation or the devaluing of the dollar. So there's just a lot of these forces that are happening at the same time to move these prices up. And what's interesting is I know the markets are always cyclical. So I've been in this business for 20 years, and some of the folks that have got in this business over the last 4 or 5 years, they haven't experienced really something deep, a deep, not necessarily depression, but just a market reset. I don't know what the catalyst is going to be for it, but I know that it at some point it will come. But right now it's really incredible that once you get a property, once you get a property, acquire a property, get it under contract or however, once you get your fix and flip done, it is so easy to dispossess these properties. And that's a fun thing that's happening right now in our market and in a lot of these markets. So nationally, I really, again, I could speak to the fact that most people are seeing what we're seeing in their markets. If they're not, I assume Los Angeles, I assume some of the big cities like New York, they're seeing, actually the prices come down, the rents come down. But in other areas of the areas of the country where those people are moving to, it's crazy. So that's kind of the pulse from my perspective, if that makes sense.
It does. Great breakdown as well. I'm curious, before we kind of go into a little bit more about, running through everything nuts and bolts of your business, I'm curious for the upcoming time period that you said, like post 2008, are you kind of preparing for that a little bit now, or what's kind of your thoughts on that, as far as when we're not in a huge run where everything is selling above list price and, you're having a lot of fun making more money on your flips, on your wholesale deals?
Yes. Well, this is I tell some of the people closest to me that are buying property right now that are looking for houses at retail. And me personally is, again, one of the things that, because we're a wholesaler, because I market for deals that are discounted, I'll buy, I'll keep some, we'll keep some of the property, but I really feel like that I will be more aggressive once the market turns and there's a little bit more, there's more inventory on the market. And I think you get even better deals as far as price point is concerned for these renters. So I'm kind of consolidating right now, and going to strike when the market dips at some point. And so I'm waiting on that for some long-term buy and holds. I do, when we get a really great deal, and it just makes sense, we'll keep it. But that's kind of the strategy now, is what we're doing for our long-term buy and holds. Did I answer your question?
It definitely did. I had one other quick follow-up question to that, curiosity-wise. After you're talking about your success making more money on the flips and on the wholesales, are you selling a lot of your deals to the same buyers, or have you noticed new buyers coming in, during this last year here, where maybe it's hedge funds or out-of-state investors or things like that?
The answer is actually yes, there to both questions. So yes, we have somebody that's specifically that we sell a lot to, but we are always inundated with buyers that want to get our deals. The problem is most of the deals that we get fit our main buyers' criteria, and they're willing to pay a premium at this point. Or not necessarily a premium, they're just more. And so that's the dilemma that some of the folks that we used to sell to have, and the new investor has, is they're competing against somebody that uses the property for a different avenue. So so the answer is kind of yes to both questions. We have a lot of people that want to buy houses from us, but it's one main buyer that we're selling probably 70 to 75% of our deals to. And we're just keeping them fed at this point, but we're mindful of it. So one of the things is this kind of was created over the last 18 months, and it can be uncreated really quickly. And so we keep those relationships, and we let people know. We just tell people the truth, tell all our buyers the truth about what's going on, and keep them in the loop. And because that may go away, it may never go away, but you gotta have that. You have to be nimble, and you have to understand that nothing lasts forever. The good times are good. And for a real estate investor, and this is what I tell all real estate investors that are getting into this business, bad times are good as well. Bad times are really good. And because if you're a wholesaler or fix and flipper, you have to understand that you work within the margins. So if the economy's bad, well, there's still margin there to work within. You got to figure out what those margins are. And so that's why I say you got to be nimble. You got to find out. You got to just keep your pulse on those conditions, because it could change. And when it changes and we need to go to the other buyers, we'll pivot and go there.
Very cool. I'm reading the 80-20 within the 80-20 there. Welcome, guys, if you're joining us live with Michael Stansbury, aka Stans, that about 70% of the deals that you're doing are wholesale, and about 70% of those wholesale deals are going to a similar buyer. And what you're saying is always good. I 100% agree. It's always good to have transparency in your business and all the relationships that you have in your business and in your personal life. So it makes a lot of sense, and we're getting a great peek into the philosophy of a very successful investor. So let's start talking about Memfixerupper, man. Yeah. When you and Jameson partnered up, your strength was the marketing. So let's start there as far as what you have going on to generate leads in your business.
So we do a lot. We've done, we obviously do the little things. We've got a great website. We do some PPC. We do direct mail. We text. We RVM. We ringless voicemail drop. And but one of our greater resources is referrals. And we do a lot of networking within our community. And so we get a lot of great referrals, and referrals are the best leads. But we do those things. And one of the things that we've started doing over time is automating all these things. So all the marketing that gets done is not done by Jameson or I. It's either done by somebody that works directly for us, or we outsource it and it's done for us by somebody else. So those, and we're always looking to add another bucket. So we started doing radio this year. We're looking into television. Haven't done that yet, but I've seen some other investor friends that have really good success doing television. We've got, a good, a lot of people in our town know who we are, and they know who the other competition is. And so when there's, we're able to go on appointments and see some of our competition there. Sometimes we win, sometimes they win, which is good. We have really, the wholesalers and the other fix and flip guys in Memphis, I love them all. They're great. We have this idea, as a lot of us do, we're co-opetition. So I think we have a really good, mix of some good folks that do business here. But I would say that what's really working for us right now is mailers and referrals. And texting's been really, really good for us. And those are the things that we do. And that's kind of really in this last quarter, it's been mailers and texting that have generated the most leads and the most deals for us.
Awesome. Love that. Real quick, guys, if you are not currently an InvestorFuse member and you're watching this, head to investorfuse.com/need-a-demo. We're also sending out to everybody on here. We're also sending out a separate clip. It's about 15-20 minutes of me and Mike going through his InvestorFuse space, how him and his team use it, which we're about to dive into as well. But that's actually going to be a screen share where we did some editing just so that we're not sharing any property addresses or seller contact info. So feel free to reach out to us, answers@investorfuse.com. And if you registered for this live event, you'll automatically be sent that. So also on the marketing and lead gen, man, quick insight. What's the best way or what type of philosophy would you like to share with people as far as being able to grow a referral monster for your business? Because you said that's the absolute best lead source for you. And then we can talk a little bit about texting and direct mail, how that's been fruitful for you.
Yes. Well, first, referrals are a great lead source. And sometimes they're not, we don't get the most leads from them. But the great thing about referral lead sources is you usually get that deal and close the deal, and you're the only person talking to the person. So when I say referrals are our greatest lead source, I think they're our most profitable and they're easiest to close, because if somebody introduces you to their friend that has a problem that you could solve, they have a house that's distressed, then you're that problem solver, and there's really no one else they're talking to. So that's why when I say that. And so I'm president of a referral of a B&I group, business networking group in Memphis called B&I Business Partners. and there's about 40 people in there consistently, and they have other businesses. So we have a plumber, we have a locksmith, we have everybody, a mortgage broker, we have a banker, and these are people that I've gotten to know. I've been with this organization for 5 or 6 years, so it's about a relationship. So we know what each other does. We have trust that when we give a referral to this person, that they're going to execute it well and they're going to take care of the customer. So the first thing I would do is find out if there's a BNI group in your local area, and find out some of the best BNI groups. There's some that are not good. There's some that are great, and find the great ones and become a part of it. If there's a realtor in that group, that may be a kind of they may kind of block you from coming in because they don't want an investor coming in, because that may be competition. So be mindful of that going in. And the first person I would talk to is the realtor, especially if you don't have one, to see how you guys can help each other win. If there's not a realtor in that group, and it's a great group, it may be a really good fit for you to go in there as the real estate investor. But it's not impossible, because there's a realtor in my group, to be part of that group and have a realtor inside of that group. But that's the easy button. Do that first. And the other easy button I always tell people is, and for a while, Jameson and I, we coached people a couple years ago, had a lot of fun with it, and coached some really great people. And what we would tell them right away is, talk to everybody you know, and tell them like this, that, hey, my name is Mike Stans. We've known each other for a while. I'm buying real estate as an investor right now. If you know somebody that has these problems here, they're a retired landlord, whatever, you name the game, they've inherited a house, give me a call, let me know how, because I may be able to solve that problem for them, and position yourself as the solution provider, not somebody that's just going to buy the house from them. And because people respond to better when you can solve their problems. And so we got a lot of when our students executed that, they got deals. And so that's the low hanging fruit, is call everybody you know and let them know that you do it. If people in your sphere of influence don't know that you do this, that's easy pickings. And put them on some sort of every 90 days, give them a call, ask them about themselves, find out, what they're doing. And then again, let them know, remind them that, hey, you are in the business of buying houses as investments. And these are the solutions that I provide. And you'll be amazed at what happens. Great referral sources for me have been estate attorneys. My own closing attorney has been great. He'll call me when he has a deal. Bankers, and believe it or not, firefighters. I've got some good firefighters. Every time that there's a fire, because we buy burnouts. Hey, we just went on a call today. It's this address here. Okay. And we have a process of skip tracing that person, and we don't call them the day after, because that's just not tactful. But we do have a process in which we want to get that person into our pipeline and make sure they know who we are. And if they need to sell that property, they'll call us, because that's what we do. So let's see. Yeah, that would be probably the main thing that people can take action on, like 5 minutes after they get off this webinar.
Love the actionable items. And guys, we're going to have time for Q&A at the end. I see a lot of people funneling in here. So we're going to have time to ask Mike questions if you want to have those ready towards the end of the call. We'll just try to get through concise structure and how his team's using IF3 and all the good stuff here. And then we'll make sure, because he's a wealth of knowledge for you guys. So actionable items, Mike just went through as far as getting your referral game up. Everybody needs to know in your market and surrounding area what you're up to and really what type of solutions that you can provide. Let's dive a little bit into the direct to seller paid stuff and talk about, if you want to start, just how and why you think texting and direct mail has been efficient for you guys.
Well, direct mail has been efficient. It's always been I've always mailed to people. And one of the first things First deals I ever got was actually a Post-it. The first deal I ever got was a Post-it note that I left on a lady's door. I was doing a house down the street that I got off the MLS, and the house down the street was on a great street and it looked crappy. And I just put a Post-it note on that door and asked her, hey, if you're ever looking to sell the house, please give me a call. And I put my name on it, and name and number. And she called me 6 months later and said, hey, this is Mary. I live at 9717 Pine Point in Lakeland. You put this Post-it note on my door 6 months ago. Would you come over and let me know what you pay for my house? That was the first deal I ever got with the first piece of marketing that I ever did. And so that taught me a lesson there, that you just got to get the information. You got to figure out the least expensive way to get as much information out there, and then execute. Obviously you got to be good at getting the deal. So I was able to get that deal, and and so the direct to sell marketing with mailing solves a big problem with me. We use Christina with Postal Impact. We get a lot of data out there. We get a lot of people finding out who we are by that, and direct mail hits people at the point where they want to be hit. And sometimes, so if that's going out every 3 months, well, we know 3 months from now they're not ready, or 6 months from now they may not be ready, but 9 months from now something happens, and they need to sell that property. And the Post-it note worked only because she kept it, and the pain that she was in, I think she wanted to move away. I think the reason why she wanted to move away was her she was an empty nester, and she wanted to move closer to her son. So you always remember your details of your first deal. And it finally got to the point where she was ready to do that. And so I love the fact that mailing is kind of the sometimes a slow burn, but it gets people on the way. Texting is instant gratification. Texting is, you text somebody, and we do a lot of this every day. We're texting certain zip codes in certain neighborhoods, and you're going to get the negative part is you're going to have to deal with the fact that you're texting somebody, and people don't like random texts. And so we have a process where if they're really angry, I'll pick up the phone and call them. Hey, I apologize. We'll get off, and they'll talk directly to me, and I'll tell them everything about us. I'll try and quench the fire, because that happens with any type of marketing you do. You're going to hit people that don't like it. But if you deal directly with them, 99% of the time you can create an empathy type situation and end up being their friend. And then you never know, they may call you when they're ready. So we text a lot of people. You get some negativity, but then you get the positive part. You hit somebody at the time that they're like, this may be a situation where we need to sell. And as soon as somebody raises their hand and says, sorry about that, hey, I'm ready, I'm kind of interested, we get them off the text, and we talk to them. We want to call and talk to them. We don't want 15 lines of texting. We don't want to inundate them with little questions about their house. We want them to hear our voices, hear that we're real people, hear that we're really local, and see if this is something that they really need. And if they're an interested seller and they're a motivated seller, we make that appointment right away. Myself or Jameson, we both dispossess properties, will go out there and try and get the deal. So those direct to seller work very, very well. Again, I don't do it as much. I really, now I feel guilty about saying it, but again, some of the easiest stuff that you can do is, if you're working on a fix and flip, is just go down the street and do the little Post-it note thing. It's easy. And it's kind of, you'll hit somebody when they want to be hit. So it's just, but it's one of those things I need to make sure that I add it to what we need to be doing every day.
I'll do a follow-up text to help keep you accountable to that. That's a great breakdown there, and kind of your philosophy on marketing and what's effective and why it is for you guys, where the mail is a slow burn that's going to hit them when they want to be hit, and the texting is kind of just like, almost like speed dating, just seeing like, hey, is there any interest here? If not, keep going, hit them again in a month or something like that.
Right.
But cool. Let's talk a little bit about team structure, because that's going to be baked into the marketing. Because I was wondering, I know that Postal Impact, amazing company that's nationally recognized, nationally touted. Christina Kraus, she's doing the direct mail and fulfilling that for you. Let's talk a little bit about team structure. And to start off with, I'm curious of who's actually in the texting tools for you, the launch control and the lead Sherpa, hitting all those people with text, and then how are they being responded to and then sent into InvestorFuse?
Well, some of the tools that we use is we have Daler and Colin. Colin is my son. Daler is a gentleman that's worked for us for, I think he's going on 3 years, and he's phenomenal at what he does. But they handle a lot of our marketing, and they do the texting, and so they're both local, and so they handle that on a day-to-day basis. We have a lead manager, Melissa, and she takes, whenever there's a call that comes in or there is an opportunity that hits on InvestorFuse, she's on top of it to really filter that lead and see if it's something that we need to hit right away. And so they work, when we get at somebody that's texting back and forth with the guys over on Lead Sherpa or on Launch Control, because we actually use both, they either pivot to Melissa or pivot to Jameson and I pretty quickly to give them a call and to make that appointment. And Melissa does most of that for us. She's a great lead manager. So she is in IF all the time, looking at those leads. And then Jameson, I spend, this is the beautiful thing about InvestorFuse. And one of the things, at 9 o'clock today, I was on InvestorFuse for about 15 minutes making and probably not even that long. It was only that long because I probably had a YouTube video going on in the background. The beautiful thing is I check my actions, I get my actions done, and I make sure that everything's filled in my calendar. But one of the things is I'll just use Voxer, which is the walkie-talkie app, and I'll do that to Melissa to get the information that needed to input on InvestorFuse. So I don't even have to input a lot of that information. So she's fantastic, and we all are local here, but we don't work in the same. We don't have an office space. We're all kind of virtual. We get together once a week and we go over, the past week and what we're doing this week, and we go over our numbers and we celebrate some of the things that we're doing, and then we kind of cast vision for, hey, this is what's going to happen next. So Jameson and I, our main job is to go on these appointments and get the deals. And then once that happens, then we both dispossess the properties. But right now, that's the easiest part. As some of you guys might know, it's just a crazy time out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as we were going through earlier, that's awesome. So quick kind of high level overview. Mike, father of four, should have started that with the intro. I should have prompted that. That's amazing and awesome to see. But you have two local people, one of them being your son, that's helping out with the texting via Launch Control and Lead Sherpa. And then pretty much kind of like the acquisition structure, once you actually have somebody that's opting into your marketing, is Melissa, lead manager. That's pretty much taking everything from lead intake. And we'll talk a little bit more how she's kind of handling all the leads that are cold and old. And then Jameson, who's also a partner with Memfixerupper. You guys are pretty much wearing the same hat as far as acquisitions, going to meet with sellers, going on appointments, and things like that, as a quick high-level recap for what Mike is going through now.
Yeah, and then the other portion of our business is done by, we have a kind of a CEO type role that's done by Jameson's wife, Rappy. She used to run the Lululemon store here in Memphis, and she managed that store for years. And so she takes care of the numbers and make sure that we're doing everything right there. And she's kind of our de facto. She's a good little leader, great little leader, and helps us out a bunch. So we have a lot of those roles taken care of, so we can just go do what we're really, really good at. So we get to concentrate on the most effective thing that we can do. And that is, for me and Jameson and I, it's to go meet with sellers and get deals done.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Shout out Robert Shortsleeves. He was on last month. I'm going to keep all the questions here, guys, and then save those towards the end. It shouldn't take us too long to kind of talk everything through Mike's business here, but I do want to get those answered towards the end. So feel free to send those in the Q&A section, and Mike and I will go through those. But yeah, man, that's awesome. Let's talk a little bit about, we have the team structure down. I guess let's talk, if we're going just through the assembly line of the business, what does the dispositions process look like for you? I know that we were kind of going through that 70% of your deals are wholesale, 70% of those wholesale deals end up going to similar buyers. But what does that process look like for you? And then we can kind of dive into specifics on IF3 and then how you, Jameson, and Melissa are using it on kind of a day-to-day basis and interacting and everything.
Yeah, when in a normal market, we would send all our deals out via email, and they would call us up, and then we would go with the highest bid. But right now, it's texting one or two of our main buyers and negotiating the deal right after we get the deal. Sending them the Google Drive with all the pictures. Sometimes they need to get in, sometimes they don't. Depends on that. And so that's how we're dispossessing most of our properties now. It's like I said, it's crazy that it's the easiest part, because usually it's, in other markets it's not. But normally that it would be, you'd email it out to everybody, and that's how you do that way. The other 30% of the time is we will retail, fix, and flip the house, and so we will close on the house. We have we will close on the house, then we will go through the process of improving the property, and then another part of our team is Jameson's mom, Beth, is our realtor. She is fantastic, and she'll put it on the market, and she'll do all the marketing for us and selling it on the MLS. That's it in a nutshell for the dispossession of the properties.
I love it. I love how involved the family is too. Jameson's wife and mom both working with the company. Your son helping out with some lead gen stuff, and he's got some cool stuff when we were chatting the last time with the NFTs and stuff. I believe making some money off there. So I love seeing the family involvement from both partners in the company. That's cool.
Yeah, it's fun.
Cool, man. Well, let's talk a typical day snapshot here of using InvestorFuse, and we'll get some questions because we do have those coming in for you. So let's just do kind of like a typical snapshot for, I guess we'll say like Melissa and then you and Jameson, and then kind of when you're out on the appointments, we can talk about, which I think is like a huge 80-20 lever here for you guys, how you guys are able to communicate efficiently and essentially get stuff off of your plate as, as you and Jameson are, the partner owners in the company.
Sure. So again, I think that the person that spends the most time in InvestorFuse is more than likely Melissa. I will look at my actions on a daily basis and look at my actions for today and for tomorrow, for the weekend. And again, I love the fact that it's all correlated with our Google Calendar. So, once we make that appointment in there, it shows up. And so for me personally, it's looking at actions. And then once I'm done with my actions, I'll look at the opportunities coming in and seeing what our opportunities look like, where the leads are coming in, maybe that day or week. I probably won't do that every day, but I do it probably every 3 or 4 days. Definitely every Friday, I'll kind of look at that and I'll go back and make sure. I'll go to our call tracking metrics is what we use, and to make sure that everything is connected, because sometimes things happen. And I'll listen to calls. We use Call Porter to answer a lot of our calls. That's another part of our team that I don't think I mentioned, but I'll listen to those calls, see how they're doing. They've done a great job. They're very good at listening to feedback and then making those changes. So that's another part of our business that it kind of is automated, and we really don't have to worry about too much. And so, but then Melissa, again, we will on a daily basis, Jameson and I, we have a Voxer, and we have a team Voxer, and it's basically just that information to input into InvestorFuse. And hey, this is how, as soon as the appointment's done, again, I it's one of those things where I feel like I'm a smart guy, but I'm not that smart. So I can't remember every detail I need to remember when I get home and I get in front of my computer, but I know it right away after I leave the appointment. So I get on Voxer, I send that information on, and I know it's done. And that's a beautiful thing. That's way better than maybe writing a note to yourself. Even then, it's just easy. So that works for us. So Melissa's inputting a lot of the information there, and she's doing some follow up, and then when I get a deal done, when I get a contract done, I'll get the contract here, and then I'll input the information on InvestorFuse myself as far as the contract price, what I think we're going to get as far as the resell it for, and we'll put all that information in there. So we are, so we're up to date. That's it. And it's worked really, really well for us. We really like the changes that you guys have made. It's definitely gotten better. We've been with you guys for 3 years, and it's become more and more efficient. We really, really do like it. We use some of the automated messaging services that you guys that we have on here, and that's worked well because it has pinged somebody at the right time, and they've called us back. They call us back on call porter or that phone number, and then they're back to a hot lead again. So we love it when that happens, when the follow-up is just easy and done for us, and deals end up happening. So we just had a deal close last week, a lady that we've been talking to for 1.5 years, and she would get our automatic text messages, and she would text back. She said, "I'm not ready yet, but I'm coming back to Memphis." She was living in Chicago at the time during COVID. And she said, "I'll be back in the spring." And she got back in the spring, and she called us up, and we got the deal. And it was because we had her on an automated text drip. So it's been a really good resource for us. So does that help?
That's awesome. Yeah, definitely helpful. And we can start opening up some questions. Went through a lot of good stuff. And just as a reminder, for those that aren't currently on InvestorFuse, you can go to investorfuse.com/need-a-demo. If you're on here, I know there's a lot of members on here. And then we're also going to send out separately the video of me and Mike going through his space, just so that we could edit some seller information, just to be fully respectful of them. I know Short Sleeves is on here. We had that idea after he hopped on, but just to be fully respectful for your sellers, your marketing, and everything like that, we want to make sure that we can edit the screen share when you're sharing your space. I'm going to start doing that now. So as a quick high level, guys, and how I love that Mike is using the platform for a few years now and really has it ironed in, is really just allowing him and Jameson to spend their mental creativity and really their time doing what is going to be the highest revenue generating activities, which is just going and talking to sellers, essentially locking up these deals at a good price. And the tool that I just chatted is Voxer, Voxer. And that's essentially like a walkie-talkie app. I've had it at times on my iPhone. It's nice and convenient. So that's what's nice, and what a lot of successful companies that are using InvestorFuse have set up is they have someone that kind of takes accountability and responsibility for keeping everything in InvestorFuse clean. Kind of personality wise, I'm the same. I'm a similar kind of character avatar to a lot of owners that use InvestorFuse. Is I'm not great with like CRM database entry. Like I'm on these type of calls most of the day doing interviews or meeting with people and stuff like that. That's where I enjoy spending my time. So it's nice where people that are going on outside appointments are able to just Voxer in to that lead manager or admin, and they have the responsibility to keep everything organized as far as what next action to put the seller on, any type of notes they want to update, making sure they're on sequences and things like that. So I absolutely love how Mike is using the system and doing really, really well here. So I see questions coming in, and then you can raise your hand. Neil, Popeye's House is in the building. I see that you have a hand raised. If you guys would prefer to come on and talk, I can bring you on and you can ask questions to Mike and I directly. So let me go with Ricky Howe. I'm excited for the contracts that are coming out very, very soon. Ricky, if you've seen some messaging, I think of you anytime that we have an update there. But he wants to know, does your call porter integrate with IF3?
Well, with call tracking metrics, it does. But call porter, so the data is all driven from call tracking metrics, I think, to IF3. I have to go in order to listen to the call. I believe I may be wrong here. I think I may be able to listen to it as well on IF3 because I think we've done that before. So I have listened to calls on IF3, but I usually go to call tracking metrics to listen to that. Mm-hmm. So the answer is the integration, I think, comes from call tracking metrics, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and I could have taken that question as well, Ricky. So it's going to depend, and we give you guys the options. A lot of people do outsource some of their inbound call answering. So what we typically do is provide a web form for, let's use Call Porter for the example for Stans. And what we'll do is we'll provide a web form so that Call Porter can fill that out. But then typically most of our members have CallRail. Mike has call tracking metrics. So we would be able to integrate either or, kind of your preference, either do a web form submission or link the number directly. But either way, it's going to come right into InvestorFuse, and any notes will be updated in the activity and communication log of that opportunity. Let me go real quick to a couple questions from my boy Robert Shortsleeves. He wants to know the pay structure for Melissa, your lead manager.
I believe it's between 16 and $18 an hour, and we do pay a bonus for deals done. So, quarterly bonus structure.
Okay. Awesome. And then a follow-up question. And Robert, as I mentioned, was on the customer case study last time. He has his mom as his lead manager, which is absolutely amazing, and goes the same thing with the family being involved in the business, which I love. He wants to know how you measure your lead manager's performance, i.e. 30 calls, how many hours they worked, appointments they set, things like that.
How we manage their time, or how we manage their, so how we manage their performance.
I guess it's more so performance. And the example he was using was like, maybe follow-up calls they make, how many hours she's working in a day, how many appointments she sets.
Well, so that's a great question. I think that one of the things that we got lucky with Melissa. Melissa actually worked for us for a little bit beforehand doing some other stuff. And she's just, here's how I'm going to answer that. She's really great with people on phone. We actually listen to the calls, and she's very good at following up with people. She's just excellent. So our job is to get her the leads. My job is to make sure the marketing machine is working so she can do her job. So how do we pay her, believe in hourly wage, and we pay her a bonus structure, and we're a little bit, and this is just us. I believe that we're like this. We're a little bit liberal with it. So because we have high trust value, and you won't have high trust value with all your employees. She is somebody that I've known for years, and just has incredible character. And one of the things is, and this is just the truth, guys. I'm just gonna give it to you. We employ a lot of people in our family, and then there are family members that we would never employ. Okay. And you just know that, you should know that there should, like, your family, and you also know your family. And so you want to make sure that you want to know the people that are working with you. So, and this is, I learned this, is, you got to be quick to make a move if you need to make a move. Once you see somebody that isn't a fit, there is no fitting them in, if they don't have the same character and the same values that you have. So the big thing for hiring people is to make sure that that they're on the same level as far as character is concerned, and values. For us, it's values and characters. We don't care your race, color, creed, religion, but we want to make sure that we're starting at the same value. That structure, and if that's on the same par, it's going to be easy for that relationship to thrive if you guys have that good starting position. That's how, and that's why we're more likely to try and go with somebody. Instead of putting an ad out there, we are likely to look to. I found Melissa through my BNI group. She was working for some other people, and she was working for a glass company, and she was helping this other person out. She was doing some part-time stuff as just, hey, whatever you need help with, I can do. So she was a very good people person. She did not mind being on the phone. She could handle somebody that was mean on the phone, that didn't like us because we texted them, or they got a mailer from us and it reminded them of, we mail, guys, you're mailing people and you're marketing to people that maybe they got a house because their parents died or their son died. And that's awful. That's no fun when you're dealing with the death of a parent, or especially a child. but I trust Melissa to be, to empathize with that person. I trust myself too, to be able to put myself in their shoes and go, you know what, if we're not the problem solver, but we caused a problem because we reminded them of this event, I want to make sure they know that, hey, we're 100% sorry for that. We'll get them off our list and we'll never contact them again. And there's the other person that has that same event happen that calls you and wants to deal with you because they want to sell the property. So that's what makes Melissa different. And you're looking for that type of person to be a lead manager that can deal with those situations and can be can empathize with somebody when they have a bad event in their life happen. So she's critical. She's great. And before she did it, Raffi Jameson's wife, she did that for us, and she was great at it as well. So find somebody that has the same values that you have. I've had some people have really good luck with VAs doing this. Mm-hmm. And if you can find that, I think that's awesome. If you can find it, if you get a good person as a lead manager, that's for us, that's a big critical part of the business. Make sure you keep them happy, and they'll keep your leads fresh and ready to, ready for you to get them under contract, if that makes sense.
Definitely makes sense. Great breakdown there and nuggets, giving guys some very applicable things. I'm going to have Mike re-go over this as far as why referrals are so good, but James has a two-part question. The first one, which you can do kind of a quick synopsis of this and maybe like the actual items that anybody listening to this interview can take away, is what is your best marketing strategy at this point in time?
Right now it's probably lead Sherpa or texting and mailers. They're doing this right now. And so it's funny, mailers sometimes for like a month, we're not getting any mailing leads. And then, so it's just crazy how that goes. But those are, what's working for us right now. And they're kind of neck and neck right now. If I'm looking at it and I'm pulling up right now, the last few deals that we did, SMS, mailers, SMS, radio, SMS, mailers. So PPC, referrals, SMS. So, and one of the things that's interesting though, is for us, what we feel like sometimes our texting works really well and our mailers work really well, because we also have a internet presence. So they're going in Google, they're going and looking at us, and then they're getting a mailer as well. So a lot of this, one of the things you want to do if you want to do this long term, and it's a great business, is make sure that you have a really good internet presence, because they're checking you out as soon as you text them, as soon as you send them a mailer, they're Googling you and trying to find out if you're legit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean the whole psychology, or I'm not sure the best way to phrase it, but kind of finding or getting unsolicitedly marketed to about buying the biggest asset that person's ever had in their life, for the most part, is it's an interesting psychological vantage point of making sure that you show that you're not a threat to them and that you're actually a solution and problem solver for them. So having the online presence is huge. And then just the nugget about building a referral business as well, or being able to have referrals come to you as well.
Yeah, that's all about relationship building and putting yourself out there. And I would find networking groups. There's free ones and then there's paid ones. Again, I'm part of the BNI in Memphis, and I've been president. And one of the things is you want to go in there and lead as well, be a leader. And then one of the things that you can do is, if you're leading a group, that just puts you up a little bit more as far as your exposure to other people. Because not only there are about 18 different BNI groups in Memphis where I live, and the people in those groups know who I am because I'm president of this group, and I might go visit their group, and they might not have a real estate investor in their group. And so, which is great, because I can then expose myself, expose what we do to other people that are in another part of the city. And so that is the low hanging fruit, is become good at networking. And, the whole How to Win Friends and Influence People, you got to read that book at least once a year, and talk to people and let them know and find out first how you can help them. But let them know. And that's one of the things that works really well with our referral group is when I go to the meeting, I'm not looking for deals. I'm not coming to look for deals. I'm coming to help my floor guy. I'm coming to help my HVAC guy. I'm trying to find out, all right, who are the people that are calling me, or that I see on social media that need flooring, or that need HVAC, or maybe I had a good friend of mine, and they had a water leak in their house, and they needed somebody to take care of that. We have a guy in our group that does that. So if you go to give, what happens is you get, because that's kind of how the whole referral system works, is go figure out how you can help other people and they'll help you.
Great, amazing mental framework to come from. I couldn't agree more. It's almost like a mix of How to Win Friends and Influence People and The Go-Giver. If you're familiar with that book, it's almost the exact thing that you're describing there. Cool. And then James, again, a quick recap here. James says, does Melissa manage the whole actions and process inside of IF3?
Not all of them. Some of them are directly for me. But sometimes what I'll do is I'll box her if I'm off. If she can go in and then change, what's happening in my IF3, all my actions, because I'll do that via Boxer. So she has the ability to, but she doesn't, I'll go in at 9 o'clock in the morning and look at all my actions, and then take care of what I need to take care of. And then I will position whatever needs to be positioned for her, to her IF.
Very cool. That is the last question that we have here in the Q&A. I'm going to have one last question for myself for Stans, and give you guys some time to type in any other questions. I'm curious, though, from a conversation that we had before, I would love to hear another kind of macro question. I think it's pretty cool how your son was successful with it, but just kind of the world or macro view on economics with the US dollar and cryptocurrency and things like that, and how you see it playing in with real estate the next few years here.
So I had a conversation with somebody that is close to me, and he's 22 years old, and they wanted to know a little bit more about money. And I will tell you this, I'm 46 years old. I was terrible with money until I got married and still didn't know how to balance a checkbook. So like at 26, 27, that was the first time I really, paid enough attention to make sure that we were, it just total, and it wasn't my parents' fault. My parents taught me. I just didn't, I didn't pursue the right knowledge. I pursued making money and spending money, because that's just what I did. So the first thing I would tell people about economics is pursue the knowledge of how money works, how it works in the first place. And this is the hard part for people to understand, is like money is a subject that is just not about how much you have in your bank account or in your IRA. You got to understand how it works and how it's working in your country, and then what other people are doing with money. This is not to say focus on making money in other avenues other than what you're doing in real estate. This is to study, make the subject matter of what it is. And the first thing I really wish I would have known about money is that if you understood that it is not only something that's tangible, it's a dollar bill, you have a dollar, but there's also a spiritual component to it, a complete spiritual component to it. That if your first action with the amount of money that you made is to first figure out how you can help somebody else, or give it away, or tithe to your church, if that's the first thing that you do, that's the best thing to do, is figure out, all right, I got 100% of everything that's coming in. What percentage am I giving away or helping somebody? That's the first thing I would say about economics. And if you guys took that away from this is the only thing you take away, that's going to change your life. Kind of like the Go-Giver. It's really that principle. So as I'm learning more about economics, as I'm learning more about cryptocurrency, I really do believe that the dollar, the US dollar, is as the people in our country lose faith in it, Bitcoin is a great hedge. Some money in cryptocurrency, specifically, the big boys, Bitcoins. I don't do a lot of the altcoin stuff. I just don't know much about it. But I just believe that if you look in the last year, I think Bitcoin's up like 680%, and gold is up 2%. So that's an incredible amount. And you feel free to fact check me. I actually saw that this morning, and I'm just repeating that. So that may not be 100% accurate, but I want to tell you that there's a vast amount of difference between what gold was a year ago and what Bitcoin is. And so I would say that it'd be a good idea for somebody to take maybe 5 or 6% of their income and just put it into a cryptocurrency. That's what I was told to do years ago and didn't listen.
Mm-hmm. Same here. I didn't buy until the beginning of this year, and I've had notes and reminders.
Yeah. And so and the same thing I tell my son this is, it's hard for human beings, even me, not to have FOMO, but it's really easy to go, okay, all right, what do I need to do now? But don't harp on the fact that you didn't do this when you should have done it. Okay, what can I do now to be in a better position going forward? And so that's what people should pursue, is really what should I be doing now? Really follow smarter people than yourself on economics, and and then execute a little by a little, and just do a little bit at a time. And again, over time, that's going to turn into something that will blow your mind. Mm-hmm. And the last thing I would say about economics is, as best as you can, is remember to be content with what you have right now. That's the key to having more later, is to be content with what you have now, and to focus on those things that can make you better. If you focus on being better at certain things, then more will come. Being content with what you have now, and then being focused on, like for us, it's okay, what marketing can we do better? Should we focus on getting better, and maybe getting better in this market, or going to another market, taking what we're doing and seeing if we can do it in another place. So that's it. I don't want to get into, here's what I don't want to do. I don't want to be an expert on national economics, especially at this point, because it's craziness out there. But I do play around with Bitcoin a little bit, not enough to tell somebody exactly what to do, when to buy it, how to buy it, all that stuff.
For sure, man. Great stuff, and always amazing to hear high-level philosophy and real estate strategy from a top performer and a top human being here. So it's been an awesome conversation the last hour here. And for everybody that's on, we are going to send a separate clip edited of Mike going through his InvestorFuse to show how him and his team are using it. And we kind of wanted to talk high level here, talk about his business and what's been successful for him since he's been an investor, wholesaler the last few years, and agent for a very long time here. So Mike, appreciate you, man. Appreciate everybody coming on here live or listening to this as a podcast or YouTube later on. And hopefully next time we talk, Bitcoin just keeps going up and up and up. That'd be amazing. I think it's going to.
Be great.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much, and have a fantastic rest of your day.